very much for being here with us tonight to something that's going to be a really a very special and exciting party. I want to thank Things to Do, great organization, and I know you all work hard in all those long nights and all those weekends and holidays and all that. But when you do stop, when you do rest, and when you do take that vacation, I strongly encourage you to pick Romania as your destination. And by the way, Romania is really much more, and there's a lot beyond Transylvanian Dracula in the castle. I'm from Bucharest, for example. Nobody heard about it. But there are beautiful things to see. They're amazing people, and it's just a great place to go. So I encourage you all to follow the program on Things to Do. They're going to schedule a trip to Romania. I hear.
But of course, now we have a special guest, here to teach you about Dracula. And we invite Dracula now to come up and give you a
Thank you. Many of you no doubt have heard of Dracula. Yes?
Yes.
Anyone here who's never heard of Dracula? Excellent. My reputation precedes me. Unfortunately, it's a little bit wrong. Let me go back now, if I could, to 1431, when Vlad Tepes was born. Yes, his father, an emperor, he had put together Wallachia, and he had made it work. It was pressed between, it was a country pressed between Hungary and the Ottoman Turk Empire. The Ottoman Turks set I'm sorry, not my father. Set Vlad Tepes' father up as the emperor. And just so he wouldn't try to pull anything fishy, Vlad Tepes and his brother were held ransom in Turkey, so that the fathers wouldn't do anything. It's no sleight of hand. Unfortunately, the people did not like Vlad's father, even though he was the darling of the Holy Roman Empire and had become a member of the Order of the Dragon, or Dracula. As a matter of fact, young Vlad considered himself Dracula, son of the dragon. At age of 17, Vlad's father was killed by his loyal gentry. And his brother was buried alive. The Turks then sent Vlad at the head of a Turkish army back to bring things into order. Vlad had a wonderful plan. He decided that those who had so graciously buried his brother alive and executed his father should pay, and pay dearly. That's where his other name comes from, the Impaler. To impale. Not just with stakes, but to actually take trees and hone them down so that their roots would hold them very tight. So if you can imagine a forest of pines, stripped of all their branches and needles, decorated with all sorts of people, men, women, and children, impaled. And those who were impaled were boiled in oil. And those who weren't boiled were skinned alive. And those who weren't skinned alive, well, if they were only sort of bad, Vlad would have the skin removed from their feet, salt rubbed into the skin, and then bring goats in to lick the salt. So Dracula had quite a reputation. Unfortunately, the Hungarians and the Turks were always pressing against him. So he went back and forth. The Turks invaded Slovakia again, And they found all these 10,000 people impaled. And he had also poisoned all the wells and burned all the crops. So when the Ottoman Turks saw this, they were completely demoralized. They said, he is indeed the devil. They were right. At any rate, this went back and forth for over 30 years. Vlad only served as emperor of 7 of those years. The Turks took over the country once again and set Vlad's brother up as emperor. It went back and forth and back and forth, and when his brother died, he went back and took over the country for a final time, whilst he was executed. But this is where the legend begins. Because where is the body? There is no body. Indeed, his head was taken back to Constantinople and stuck on a pike, and there at the Bosphorus it stood. Many say that his dearest friends took the head then and took to the top of a mountain in Greece. And indeed, there is a little island about 12 miles north of Bucharest, yes, where they believe that he is interred. In 1936, they did a little excavation. There is finery there, a emperor's clothes. Alas, no emperor. Where could he be? In the 16th century, there was a young lady, a Madam Elizabeth Bathory, also from the general neighborhood there. Because if you will know, back and forth it went between Turkey and Hungary. Back and forth, and Transylvania and so on and so forth. Changing hands at regular intervals. Well, Madame Bathory had a little hobby of her own. She collected young maidens. She would then torture and execute them and then bathe in their blood. I think that's maybe where the blood thing comes from. What do you think? I like your red gown. Jump ahead to 1897. An Irishman by the name of Bram Stoker writes a book. And he does it in such an interesting way. He uses news clippings, makes it like news clippings, like it's actually a factual news event about a Transylvanian count who escapes to England in a ship and crashes in Whitby, England, and then terrorizes London and Nina and Lucy. Are you familiar with the story? That's where the legend of the Dracula, like me, comes from. They were the first movie that was made of Dracula was in 1922. Does anyone know the name? Not for us. Yes, very good. I heard it back here. Yes. It was done without permission or copyright. And Lady Stoker sued them. There was 3 years of litigation. She had the negative and all the prints burned. Someone hid one because we still can see it today. To 1927. When a young man from Transylvania, he lived in Hungary and was a fairly successful Hungarian actor. He married several times and left the country to avoid his wives. Came to America via, do you know where he entered in? New Orleans. The soft underbelly comes in that way. He was naturalized later, becomes an actor, and is fairly successful, particularly forming a Hungarian acting troupe in New York City. Because there were so many immigrants, they toured up and down the East Coast. In 1927, it was decided they should do a production of the book, Dracula. And Bela Lugosi is hired to play Dracula. 261 successful performances, an incredible run for 1927. As a matter of fact, so successful, he is immediately brought to Hollywood to be in the movies. Silent then, but they waited till 1931 to make a version of Dracula. It was originally to be called The Undead, but they thought Dracula makes a much better name. What do you think?
Yes.
And that's the truth about Vlad the Impaler and Dracula. Thank you.